The grieving residents of Newtown, Connecticut are holding their first funerals today, and many in the community, the pain has only just begun.
People there have been seeking God in the aftermath of Friday's horrific shooting. Jennifer Wishon has that story.
Jesus died for all the children.
Songs, prayers, and memorials are everywhere across Newtown. A steady line of pilgrims walked the hill towards Sandy Hook Elementary School to remember the 26 students and brave teachers who died there. Christmas trees are decorated for the victims. A memorial of flowers, teddy bears, and candles bring visitors to tears. People come and go, but the feeling of sadness never leaves. Yusuf Haytar walked the hill with his 6-year-old son.
We don't know why things happen, but they do happen. Unfortunately, there is, there is evil. There's an abundance of evil in the world, and we have to confront it.
Some give thanks that their children survived.
She heard everything, the shots, doors slamming, people yelling.
I called my friend, and we felt so bad saying this, but we're like, thank God it's not our kid's school.
Just a week before the shootings, children and their families were here for a happy tradition, the lighting of the town Christmas tree. People who were here say the air was full of excitement over the coming celebration of the birth of Christ.
There's face painting, and all the stores are open, and there's Christmas music, and everybody's running around, and then at 6 o'clock they light the tree, and everybody goes, woo, right there. And now there's 2 donated trees to mourn the dead people. It's pretty bad.
At a prayer vigil Sunday, President Obama offered comfort by reminding residents the nation grieves with them.
Let the little children come to me, Jesus said, and do not hinder them, for to such belongs the kingdom of heaven. God has called them all home.
Some churches are keeping their doors open 24 hours for prayer. St. Rose of Lima Catholic Church was hit especially hard. It will handle 8 of the funerals. Some children, the shooter's mother, and the shooter all attended the church. For Sunday Mass, it was standing room only. The church is where people came after learning the news and continue to come to reflect and heal. The minister of this church is uniquely suited for this moment. More than a decade ago, he pastored a church near Columbine High School when 2 teens killed 13 people.
I think in some ways we're probably prepared to deal with some of the issues that are going to arise over the next week for us.
Emotions of shock, sorrow, and anger.
For the children, innocent children, this never should have happened. How could this happen? Only God knows.
God can win with any hand that's dealt, and so even when a bad hand is dealt, God has a way of turning things.
The hurt will linger long after the president, grief counselors, and TV cameras leave. But there is hope that the pain will open hearts to God's love and peace.
Man, keep us lifted in prayer, because God will give us the answers. He'll help us tell people what they need to hear. And we don't always know what to say, but we know He does. So pray for us.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Newtown, Connecticut.
It's been said that the greatest tragedy in life is when a parent outlives his child. For the parents of the Sandy Hook victims, that tragedy became their reality. And coming up later, we'll talk with a mother and father who know how it feels, and they'll tell us how they've gotten through it. But first, Lee Webb is in Washington for the rest of today's top headlines. Lee?
Pat, fresh signs of progress in the stalled Fiscal Cliff talks. House Speaker John Boehner has offered to let the Bush-era tax rates expire for those making more than $1 million a year. In exchange, Boehner wants $1 trillion in spending cuts over 10 years. Those cuts would come from programs like Medicare. His deal also includes raising the government's borrowing cap high enough so that the issue would not have to be revisited for a year. First, the Swedish government took their son away. Now an appeals court has terminated their parental rights, all because they homeschooled their son. Dominic Johansson has been in state custody since 2009. There was a glimmer of hope in June of this year. A district court ruled the Johanssons could retain their parental rights. Now the appeals court in Sweden has reversed that decision. CBN's Dale Hurd has been following the story from the beginning. He recently spoke with the family's former attorney about the case.
But the laws concerning the taking of children into care, it's like a rubber band. You can stretch it in any direction, and the social workers never do wrong. And they always have the backing of the administrative courts. One social worker said to me, the administrative courts, they're our courts. You know, the courts are supposed to be for the people.
Clausen says this is a problem in all the Nordic countries. She's filing reports on human rights violations against all child protection systems in those countries. Well, Islamists appear to have won a narrow victory in the first round of voting on Egypt's constitution, but Egyptian rights groups are calling for a revote now. They charge there were widespread voting violations. And Chris Mitchell has that story.
The opposition umbrella group condemned the irregularities and violations, including the presence of the Muslim Brotherhood at the polls. It called for a large rally against the Constitution. Millions of Egyptians cast their vote in the referendum on the Constitution. It would empower Islamists to enforce the most widespread and strictest implementation of Islamic or Sharia law that modern Egypt has ever seen.
I cannot accept a constitution with very limited actually, rights for minorities, rights for women, rights for even children. It's not suitable for Egypt, actually. We're talking about a country that has been in place for over 210 years as a modern state.
Rights groups said violations included women being prevented from voting because they were not wearing Islamic veils, individuals falsely identifying themselves as judges, and Christians being denied entry to polling stations. As polls closed, hundreds of Islamists attacked the offices of one of Egypt's oldest liberal parties.
The president, if he is president of all Egyptians, holds the responsibility of what has happened now. And I ask the Attorney General to submit the criminals who attacked us to justice.
Israelis are watching the Egyptian vote with concern, since an Islamist victory could threaten the 33-year peace treaty between Egypt and Israel. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
And that's all from Washington for now. Pat, back to you.
Well, we're dealing with tragedy, but, you know, this thing that happened in Connecticut tears our hearts, because when we look at the picture of those sweet little children and realize that I'm a father of 4 little children. They're grown up now, but then little grandchildren that come along, and you know how precious they are. And you see those dear little faces of hope and joy, and to think they're cut down.
A Christian worker shot in Pakistan has died. An unknown gunman shot 70-year-old Brigetta Ombi in front of her home in Lahore, Pakistan 2 weeks ago. She died of her injuries in a hospital in her native Sweden. Ombi served with Full Gospel Assemblies in Pakistan for 38 years. Morning Star News reports that Pakistani church officials believe Islamic extremists carried out that attack. Well, CBN brought Christmas to the children of prison inmates in Lima, Peru. More than 300 children gathered in the auditorium of Peru's largest prison for a special showing of the Superbook Christmas episode. The host of CBN's Spanish program, Vida Dura, spoke with the children afterwards, sharing a message of hope and salvation through Jesus Christ. Each child received a Superbook gift pack with a Superbook devotional in Spanish, along with a poster and treats. And you can find out more about what CBN is doing around the world by logging on to cbn.com/international.